Well, good evening all. Welcome to January's Planning Advisory Committee meeting. And Happy New Year to you all. Thank you. Apologies for absence. I presume Councillor Snaden might turn up, but he's the only... He's usually a little late, isn't he? I think so. So we are full house other than Tim's absence. Okay, declaration of councillors' interest and requests for dispensations. Starting with myself, I have put down item 2524. It's a TPO in Daintree, Woodlands Road. I am acquainted with the applicants there. Mariam, any?
None that I'm aware of.
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 Thank you, one and all. Oh, well, yes. As you well know, there is an application in relation to the football club, which is under the, we are the landlords. So we all have some interest, I suppose, as councillors. Is that correct? Thank you. To item 4, to receive the Chairman's report, number 4.1, National Planning Policy Framework, was published in full on the 12th of December, and there's a link online to that. 4.2, which we'll be coming to later, there's a planning application in respect to Bristol Airport, which is closing on the 31st of this month, and there is a Zoom meeting on the 16th of January, but there are a couple of workshops around as well. One's been, and I think there's one in Feltham on Saturday. Do we have anyone online?
No.
No? Okay. So public participation, we are alone this evening, so no one here. I will then continue to consider and approve the minutes of the last meeting, which are hereabouts. Any comments in relation to that? No? Would someone like to propose that we have Bob, seconded by Roger, all in favour of approving the minutes? Thank you all. So we'll move on to the planning applications. The first one is 2549, full application from 4 Queens Way, which is a proposed erection of a first floor extension to the existing bungalow. Now, it's not so convenient, is it? Can't sort of pass things around so well. It's tucked away down the little footpath, well, where the footpath commences, and down on to Nor Road. I have no issues with this. There are 1 or 2 objections online because it's changing it from a bungalow to a house. And the only thing, my comment would be that if they could get that roof line down a little bit more to be comparable to the next door neighbour, then I would be much happier, but I don't particularly have an objection. Any comments from the floor?
I agree with what you're saying, really. It's just a height issue. But you actually put on and say I could probably pass it, provided they knock a few inches off the top.
Yeah, which it probably would be only half a metre at the most, I would think. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's affecting the house behind because the topography of the land drops down quite considerably. So it's probably not affecting the 2 side houses. And as I said, number 23 behind, where one of the objections I think is coming from. But Jenny.
Yeah, I went and took a look today because I actually drove past. So I had a look, I walked down the little footpath to the, and stood outside the house, which I assume the main objection had come from. And when I was stood there, you actually really, I don't think it's going to have a massive impact because I was worried about the amount of, it might be overlooked. And I actually thought if you would, with the trees that are currently there, the hedging that is there, you actually still won't see it, I don't think. So whether you could ask for a 6-foot fence to be put up or something at the end of the garden between the bottom of the garden who's making the request, and the objection, I actually don't think you'd see it. And I actually think the overall look, I know you're not considering whether the things look attractive or not, but I think it would actually enhance the whole area. Yeah.
Fine, thank you. Tim, good. Tim, we will officially welcome you to the meeting. Do you have any declarations of interest? Thank you. We're just on the application number 1 in Queensway. So if you have any comments to make, please do. Anyone else? Anyone been up there to have a look? No. Not from us, but online there is, yes.
There's objection from a resident, but I don't think the resident gives a name or an address.
I think they're number 23, aren't they?
Well, I sort of read that into it, yeah. But do we have a proposal? I'm happy to propose approval with a caveat, which we'll come to in a moment. So,
Can I just ask a question whether or not, as it's a bungalow, it's covered in the neighbourhood plan? That's
I
really
don't
if
think
it's-
so, so I think it's not
Lots of-
2 bedroom, is it?
Yeah, whether or not it's lots of a
Bungalow.
bungalow.
I agree with Roger. Yeah, that's my first thought as well.
I'm just thinking, were bungalows in there as a separate thing, or was it only?
at this juncture, I will just say that the one on Hillside Road that partially got rejected on the same grounds, they took it to appeal, and they heard this morning that they had won the case. So District Council lost. And that was more or less the same. I think that's changing a bungalow into a house on Hillside. Do you wish to further this comment, Roger? I don't have the plans in front of me, so I don't know how many bedrooms there are in it. I can't recall.
It's a
4 or 5 beds.
4-bedroom.
4-bedroom. They want to make 4 or 5 bedrooms.
So I don't think they're particularly increasing the number of bedrooms.
Yeah.
They're just increasing the number of floors, aren't they? So,
Yes. Thanks, Martin. Yeah.
no, it doesn't-
Um,
just wanted to-
I
to
think there are
double check
increasing
wording
bedrooms.
in the neighbourhood plan if you can go the second,
Person behind it.
and we'll check it's not in there.
Yes, 4-bedroom. Yeah.
Okay, it's, the difference between the two is reasonably attractive. Just a little lot of another bungalow. Well, yes, doesn't. Yeah, sure.
Are these the existing plans, Martin, that you've passed around all the proposed?
The existing and these 2 here are proposed.
Well, it's currently 4 bedrooms as it is.
Yes, yes, right.
Yeah. So despite being a bungalow, yeah.
Existing.
You do have to know it then.
Side elevations before the back on the roof.
Yeah, no, I've got
Anything on the first floor.
I've got those. Yeah.
Yes, it's covered under retaining existing valued smaller and accessible housing.
4.32.
Yeah. Can you see what screen?
We're now put it in.
Mm.
Roger, do you wish to make an amendment in this? I've already proposed approval. Martin seconded it. No objection. Martin seconded it. You've now making an amendment of sorts.
Well, if I was to propose an amendment, it would be to change it to
Refusal.
use objection.
Yeah.
We hadn't all voted on it yet.
No, we haven't. So we'll have to vote on that one first then. So all in favour of no.
Don't we have to vote on the amendment first?
Yeah, we do actually, yeah. Well,
But only if we get a seconder for the amendment.
Yeah. So
That's true.
are we going to have a,
Seconded.
I'll be the seconder for the amendment.
right, okay, so
Oh.
Roger is
So your objections on the ground that it is contrary to neighbourhood plan item, blah, 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 whatever it is.
Yeah, just that the plan was worded to protect certain types of properties, accessible and therefore single story dwellings were one of the protected types that were in the plan. And if we're going to be true to our plan, we should raise an objection based upon the plan, and that would keep us consistent with other properties that we've raised objections to based upon that plan. So that would be my reasoning behind it.
Fair enough. So it's been seconded by Marianne.
To vote on that.
Yeah, I will second that.
Okay, so all those in favour of the amendment of objecting?
No, objecting. Which is 1, 2, 3,
So
4.
that's carried, and those against?
Can I say something? Sorry, just to point out, obviously the ageing population that's clearly happening within the UK, and the point of bungalows is essential for that ageing population.
Okay,
So do you want to, I mean,
it's carried now.
Yeah.
So the no objection then is falls by the wayside. Okay. On the grounds of, and you've
it's
got all.
4.32.
Righty-ho then, thanks. Moving on to the second of the evenings, which is 2609, full application at 2 Woodhill Road. Some of you will recall that this plot used to be the URC hall with allotments behind. The 2 lower houses are on what used to be the allotments behind, and the 4 houses that have been constructed there. The application was submitted in 2014, and the application was for 5 houses, and at appeal it got reduced down to 4. One of the objections online currently is that should stand as a reasoning for objecting to the current application, which is to convert the ground floor, sort of ground floor, number 2 into this self-contained flat. Yes, the objections online are quite extensive from one of the complainants, who presumably lives in one of the houses at number 4, 4 or 4A, and they also talk about the possibility of it becoming an HMO. No one knows. I don't think it says in the application that it's going to be a granny annex, so it's difficult to tell. Parking is also another issue because, of course, there's no parking associated with that piece of development which is proposed. So I have put onto the grid the objection, and I know others have done the same. So comments from the floor? Anyone? I think there were a bit of a string of objections here, really, on the grounds of overdevelopment, lack of parking, access to construct it, possibilities of HMO, and overbearing to the neighbours down below. Slight slope in the ground there, so they would, if people were on the patio, they would be overlooked, which I think they currently are to some extent.
I was going to say that further up that road, there's a lot of houses with basements that have already had a conversion, but those are the houses on the left. You got Woodhill Road that have about 4 stories in them, don't they?
Adelaide Terrace and so on. Yeah.
Whereas these are the new ones that were built at the bottom. I say new.
Well, 10 years ago.
Yeah, the newish ones that were built down the bottom now, weren't they?
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, where the old hall was.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Varsity Hall. Yeah.
I actually just got this image of the old hall in my mind. Yeah, so sorry, I'm just thinking out loud, really, but I think I agree with the objection on this one.
Jenny?
It'll actually leave very, very little garden remaining in the property, and
It's a very, very small flat. And I think it's going to have very, very little light. Looking at the plans,
Mhm.
because there's no windows on one side, two sides, three sides, really.
Any further comments? Would someone like to propose an objection on this? Thank you. It's in your ward, isn't it, Tim? Yeah. Seconded by Jenny. All in favour of objection? That's unanimous. So we'll word it in overbearing on the properties adjoining below, no parking, access for constructing, and a possibility of it becoming an HMO. I'm sure you can embellish that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay. Good. I think thenceforth they become a bit easier. The next one is in Spring Rise, which is tucked away behind Caithness Court off Wetlands Lane. Pretty close to the bottom of the hill coming down. And very little comment from me. Seems perfectly acceptable. I think can someone just check if they've got it in front of them on whether there are online objections? Do I recall that nothing?
There were nothing.
There are. Okay.
It does make a very huge loft space. It's a massive loft there. But that's,
There's two Veluxes in, yeah. Mm.
And it looks like the garage on the side is also in disrepair, so it does look like it needs maintenance and things as well.
Mm-hmm. Opposed for no objection? Mariam, seconded by Martin. All in favour of no objection? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, so St. Peter's Hospice is the next one, 2667 advertising. Most of you are probably aware by now that the old Poundland tucked away on Old Mill Road, they're proposing to put that up. No. Someone making a proposal? Roger proposes no objection, seconded by Tim. All in favour of no objection? Thank you. Unanimous. 2703, full application, 23 Victoria Square. This is one down towards the health centre on the left-hand side, so it backs onto the access road leading to the health centre back of Aldi. So, any comments from the floor? It seems to be no.
Didn't we have some applications in this same area that had issues due to flooding, being in a flood risk area? Was there one in Albert Road, which is just behind this one?
Albert Road, yeah, so that's the one behind it.
Yeah, but I thought they were pretty much on the same level, and therefore might have the same risk. But
well, Albert Road has, of course, the Reen at the bottom, doesn't it? Which is a live Reen, whereas outside my former shop, there's a huge, down underneath, there's a big culvert, which takes what used to be the Reen. So I don't think any of the properties around there have any issue with flooding. Proposed, no objection. Mariam, seconded by Martin again. No objection. Yep, right. Carried. Lastly, as mentioned at the beginning, we are all having an interest, so to speak, in the football club, where they've had their first match on the pitch. Request to discharge 2723. Request to discharge condition number 5, which is related to the lighting. Quite an extensive report online in relation to lux levels and angles of lights and so on. and that is pretty well it. A bit more complicated than that, but well, that's where it all comes in, doesn't it? Angling the lights, and there are specific times when they're only allowed on and off and things.
Going to say, obviously, Gordano School has the same format with their lighting as if you'll go out there now, they're playing football there, all the lights are on, all the floodlights are on, so it's quite lit up area. So I think it's the same sort of scenario, yeah.
And there are a couple of months a year when they're not allowed to have them on at all, isn't it? Because of the bats and so on, where roosting and such like. So we're still voting on this one?
Not voted yet, not.
No, but we do have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a bit of a formality really in relation to the lights proposer. Okay, well, the two of you again. Marianne. Yep. Okay. All in favour of then that. Thank you. Right. So moving on to agenda item 8, Bristol Airport Master Plan consultation. To receive a report from the Working Party, two of whom you are here today, Marianne and Martin, to assist respond. I beg your pardon? To assist responding to Bristol Airport's Master Plan consultation, which is open until the 31st of this month. The master plan provides a long-term projection of how the airport will transform and identifies future infrastructure needs and potential impacts. Notification has been received from the Parish Council Airport Association, the PCAA, that 2 further consultation events are being held, which I mentioned earlier, one of which is passed and the other one is in Feltham on Saturday. So recommendation is to consider a verbal report and proposals from the Working Party to respond to the consultation. Having looked online myself, I noticed that we are one of the 2 now named councils that haven't made a response yet, although there's still half a month to go at least. So
there's no dispensation really.
Martin.
That's better. We discussed the fact there's no dispensation from the airport, or not enough as we can see. Obviously, the parking is an issue. All sorts of.
Can I just set out the parameters?
Yeah, go on.
This is currently to take it up to getting towards 12 million a year,
Yes.
up to 15 million a year by
Yeah.
2030,
Yes.
something about that.
Something like that. Yeah.
15 million passengers a year passing through, increasing number of flights
All that.
into the early hours.
Yeah.
14 extra night flights and an extra runway for
larger
A380s,
aircraft,
yeah, that go to the Middle East and to
Well,
the US.
And don't worry, you're right. And they're moving the A38 again, aren't they, to facilitate the lengthening of the runway?
Well, it is, but they're going to produce an awful lot of guns, aren't they? All this stuff that's going to come from aircraft and from extra cores coming in, and we're of the opinion that we should be looking at them providing us with something, because they don't seem to produce anything for us at all yet, do they? So we really feel that our attack should be that they ought to provide bus links to offset some of the environmental impact that they're going to create with this. So we were thinking of airport-owned park and rides in various places around that would help to offset some of the environmental damage they're going to cause. Is that the way we want to carry on with this, do you think? Is that our attack on all this?
Just furthering that particular point, I mean, as I understand, the airport A1 bus going in from Bristol city centre charges around £7 per trip, don't they? Whilst some people are obviously paying it because their buses are fairly frequent, it's quite a lot. Do the current owners of the airport subsidise that?
It seems crazy to us that it's cheaper to get to Gatwick, Birmingham or Manchester than it is to get from here to Bristol Airport. Yeah. Yeah, their parking charges, I got a list of figures here, are the most expensive in the country, without a doubt.
What's the price of the drop off?
£6.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's just Dick Turpin, isn't it, really?
well, that is, yeah, but if you want to park your car for a week, then Bristol Airport go from 76 to £135 a week, which is somewhat more than everybody else seems to do. And
I'll just bring Roger in here.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to say on the environmental impact issue that there will be more cars going into Bristol Airport
exactly.
that would, if Bristol Airport wasn't expanded, be going into Cardiff or one of the other airports and travelling even further. So potentially it might be better for the environment rather than worse. And even if the flights
That's a
don't take
good
off
point.
from Bristol, they'll take off from somewhere else. So we're not going to reduce the overall number of flights
No.
per se on
No.
that.
No.
There are a number of bus services that they run in the airport flyers. As you say, £7 is a lot less than Silver Zone parking.
Can I come in on that? Talking to our residents, they won't take them because they don't go when they want them to go.
They don't go where they want them to go, and they don't
or
go
the
from
times.
they don't go from Portishead either.
No, exactly.
So yeah, I mean there is an argument to be made that certainly Portishead could do with something like that, but it's a logistical nightmare, isn't it, to get everyone into the airport.
Yeah.
However, it's a logistical nightmare that they managed to do on the other end of your holiday, because when you arrive at the airport abroad, they manage to always get you on a coach, the right coach, and off to your hotel, don't they? So it's always possible that they could do something similar this way, and I think that's what we should be pushing for.
I think so.
We're pushing for them to actually get a decent service in that reduces the number of cars going in.
I think that's the whole point. What we're trying to emphasise on the point of offsetting the amount of cars that are coming into the airport.
Absolutely.
So if we can offset some of the point of the extra planes being there, so we can offset that by reducing the amount of cars and creating a better public format of transport getting into the airport. That's got to be better than doing nothing at all.
I think
we are limited to what we can do as a town council, but we need to emphasise the point that we need to use a better way of transport getting into this.
And all that being said, I'm going there tomorrow to have a presentation on their master plan. So and hopefully I'll have some more information from there, and maybe an opportunity to nudge them on getting some better public transport.
So on Bob's point, what we discussed as well was a potential idea of a park and ride that fed Portishead, Nelson, Clevedon, where people could drop off their cars in the parking space that would be a considerable cheaper parking than in the airport itself, to basically help people to park somewhere else and then have a shuttle that would feed into the airport.
Or even a format of a bus and ride instead of a car. So basically all the buses drop at one point and then you have a bus that goes straight into the airport area.
I think you could route the normal buses through it.
Yeah,
is what you're saying. Yeah.
Is this a done deal that there is going to be the airport expansion?
Well, I expect so.
Yeah.
I don't think we can stop it now.
Well, as you probably know, Jenny, North Somerset Council refused an application for them to take it up to 12. And the then owners, I don't know whether they still do, the teachers' pension in Toronto, wasn't it, or something ridiculous, took it to appeal and won. So that got overturned, because central government is basically approving of regional airports expanding, isn't it? Because that's the bottom line. Do we need to be flying all this time? But I know that one hiding to nothing on that argument. Although I think it's worth still flagging up, personally.
I think our report should be based around that.
No, I just don't think we should be flying. Full stop.
That's going to be a difficult one.
It is a difficult one. Yeah, I've got a son in Vancouver, so
So
I fall into the same trap.
I recall from conversations we've had down at North Somerset that last time the the airport put quite a lot of inducements on the table to get the plan through, and North Somerset objected to it. And as you say, they lost on appeal, and all the inducements also disappeared. So yes, so there's that issue, isn't there? You can look at what you want, or you can look at turning it down. But once you've turned it down, you're never going to get what you want, because if they win on appeal, you lose twice.
Yeah.
As such. On the bright side, all those extra flights means more jobs as well, and more tax.
But I certainly think it'd be worth flagging up things like subsidising the buses in and out of the airport, which I don't know whether they do or not at the moment, to encourage more use. I remember once a couple of years ago, I took the bus from Clevedon, because there was a Clevedon to Dundry bus that went into the airport and then carried on up to Dundry, and I was going up to Dundry. I was the only one on it all the way.
I would absolutely support some sort of park and ride to reduce, it's a nightmare. As you say, parking is so expensive.
And then
there.
you've got people that are deliberately avoiding it by parking outside the airport. Then that's a case of life risks, parking issues, traffic issues.
You only have to look on Google Earth, don't you, to see all the farms around, having dozens and dozens of cars all parked in them, which is illegal, really.
The parking issue doesn't affect us here, does it? In the same way, but certainly Felton and Churchill and places they were complaining bitterly at the last meeting. People will park their cars in front of the driveways and disappear for a fortnight.
Tim,
sorry.
The idea of park and ride is a good idea, but will it be just as expensive as silver parking? If we can get them to subsidise maybe somebody else to do the park and ride, be it with First Bus or somebody like that. But I think it needs to be subsidised and not run by the airport.
You think so? You're sure the airport? I think the airport should be paying for this, shouldn't they?
They should be paying for it, but it shouldn't be run by the airport. They should be paying First Bus to do it, or someone.
Oh, we see the buses themselves.
Because otherwise they can charge what they want.
Yes,
but they need to subsidise it and make it more affordable for these people.
Good point. Yeah,
it's a balance. What you've got to have. If it's costing you £6 to drop off someone at the front of the airport, then if you've got a bus running with us, that's technically the £6 is the same, isn't it? And it's getting you from A to B. So even if you were charging the £6 fee from Portishead to the airport, it's still going to cost you £6, but at least you're getting that trip there for the same price.
And a lot cheaper than a taxi at 30-40 quid. Okay.
I mean, the airport itself might be arguing that by charging £6, they're trying to encourage people to use the buses that go there.
Maybe just scrap the park and ride and just subsidise the bus.
One of the worst case scenarios is dropping someone to the airport, because that's 4 journeys. If you two when you drop them to get you there and back, and 2 when you pick them up. So that's actually worse for the environment than someone driving their car there.
Okay, so do I assume that by the 31st, your little committee will be bringing something forward and putting it online along with all the other dozens of comments?
How's that going to work? Because you've not got another planning meeting. Is that just a comment that the working party are going to put in on behalf of the?
Yes, on the assumption that you, as representatives of this town council, will be submitting a written submission, which obviously we'll all get to see at some point. I mean, there's nothing stopping us putting our own personal comments down as well, along with everyone else.
Do you want to add that in as well?
No, we're just having a.
Well, that's what I'm at. That's a question I've got, really. Yeah.
Well, if you think we should, then we will. So,
Shall I propose that they?
Yes, please.
That we delegate them the authority
On our behalf.
On behalf of this committee to the consultation. Yes.
Which I'm happy to second. So we're all in favour of that, I assume.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, we all happy with that, yeah?
So that's the three of you here plus Paul, isn't it? As representatives. And Martin, you're still going to the PACC or PCAA meetings here.
And you've got your thing, haven't you, about the master plan on the 20th
Yes.
upstairs? That's right.
Oh, there's a meeting here. So.
Oh, the 20th, there was one.
Where was it mentioned?
You'll say Bristol.
Oh, there.
Master plan.
Oh, yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, upstairs on the 20th, yes.
Did you want to note that in your
Mm-hmm.
conversation?
Between 7 and 8:30. Who's chairing that? One of you from the committee, subcommittee?
I don't know my situation. I've got an operation on the 20th. So I don't know
Yes,
how my recovery will be on that one.
you might still be with the fairies.
What time is it?
7 till 8:30. Upstairs in the Wigan room. Where I'm afraid, as you probably gather, we are now displaced permanently. We're going to be down here for our planning meetings. Ah. Okay, thanks for that then. And so that's sorted then, isn't it? So agenda item 8.2 then, highways improvement policy. So this has a bit of a history attached to it, and I have to put my hand up and say that I haven't been sort of pushing it along perhaps as I should have done. And thanks to Sharon, she's now brought it forward to consider and recommend to the Town Council as of Wednesday coming that we adopt this policy, which is the first step in getting things onto the North Somerset Council's register and documentation for any highway improvements requests from public in our town. So there is a bit of writing in respect to that, which you might have read. So there's a policy statement in outline of the process, and then concluding that, as I summarised, the route that will be then that we adopt this policy, have it signed off. Any members of the public coming to us as councillors or coming to the office will then have the form filled out, and that will get submitted to North Somerset Council. Correct on that? Good. So, with that, Bob.
Yeah, obviously, so if this is public involvement as well, what engagement are we doing with that through social media and the council website? If it's a form of public engagement, so obviously.
You talking in terms of wanting to encourage the public to come forward?
With issues of highway issues.
An awfully long list. But,
yeah. It is a list. It's a list already.
Process, because there's no policy or decision, so they just get put on a holding list.
Okay.
Which is what we were going to resolve.
So we already have quite a substantial list already from the public.
Some of which have been noted and pushed through the system, but others I don't think have. So yes, we need to formalise this tonight, get it signed off as of next Wednesday, and then it will be done and dusted, so that then the public can sort of have better access really through the route.
Okay.
And of course, you know, the once a month Friday sessions, that's an opportunity for people to log all the complaints they might have.
North Somerset Council won't accept them until it's put forward by the Town Council, which officers can't do when it comes into the office. Okay. Yep. So.
Roger.
So I just note it says on there that stage 1 of the 7-stage processes, they will be added to the long list. It may not always be a long list.
I think it's quite short at the moment.
Yeah.
It was a long list.
So maybe
and I
just
think
maybe just
embarked
added
on it.
maybe just added to the list.
Just
Don't mind.
to refresh you, yes, the 7 stages added to the long list, as Roger mentions, assigned an IT number, an applicant notified. Second is policy checker, need to be aligned with North Somerset Council policies. The third is officer assessment, deliverability, cost and benefits. The fourth is design, includes feasibility and engagement plan. The fifth is consultation, engagement plan to understand local issues and priorities. The sixth is delivery, tendering and contractors. And the seventh is monitoring and evaluation. Some of you will know that the first bus has issues going up West Hill, for example, because of the little difficulty with parking and the extension of the double yellow lines which they're seeking. And that was probably months ago they came forward with that suggestion, and it's still going on, isn't it? And consultation period is weeks and weeks, and I don't know why they just don't go and put double yellows all the way along it anyway. So, right. No, far from it. And the bus still gets stuck from time to time. Okay. So are we all happy about that? Is that a voting issue?
Oh, you need to, yeah. If you,
Do we have any objections? None. So we're all in favour of that.
yes, I'll propose it.
Bob, second it.
What's the recommendation? Is that just
It's
to
going to
adopt
town
the policy?
council.
Oh, not to adopt the policy, to
Take it to
recommend
council.
town
recommend
council.
the
So that will
town
have to be added to
council
your list, Roger.
adopt the policy.
Yeah.
So it's got to go out there. Yeah.
Couldn't put it on yet, could I?
Right, do we have a proposal?
Do, yes. So it was first and seconded, yes. All in favour of approval. Well, good. Right.
Sorry for slowing everyone down.
No, not at all. We have all evening. Okay, late planning applications and consultations, mostly TPOs, both TPOs. So that's pretty well it, isn't it? I think then you have, no. Planning applications not requiring consultation, another couple, which again are TPOs, including the one that in Woodlands Road. And then North Somerset Council decisions, you have your list there. And that's it. So the date of the next meeting is on the 5th of February. Oh, Roger.
I was going to say, can I just note that it says Glen Orkey was refused? Yeah. Just for everyone to flag that one in their minds, because of course we spent quite some time on that.
We did. Tim, can you remind us what the reasoning was behind the refusal?
The angles of the windows and things.
Pretty much the same as in before. Do you consider that it's possible they'll go to appeal on it? I'm closing the meeting now. Thank you very much, everyone.